I've always believed that hard work eventually speaks for itself, that talent and persistence win in the end. But what they don't tell you is that sometimes your voice gets drowned out by people louder, older, or higher up the ladder. People like Martin Elwood, my boss. I joined Raven Advertising straight out of graduate school, starry-eyed, ambitious, ready to prove myself. It was the kind of agency where caffeine replaced sleep, deadlines but I loved it. Every idea, every late-night brainstorming session, every chance to show that I belonged. I worked under Martin for almost 2 years. He was charming in that practiced, boardroom way, all smiles and empty promises. People said he had an eye for talent. I thought that meant he'd mentor me. Turns out, it meant he knew exactly whose ideas to steal. It started small. A tagline here, a layout tweak there. Team effort, he'd say during meetings, taking subtle credit for my work without ever saying my name. I brushed it off at first. Maybe I was being too sensitive. But then came the Henderson account. It was our biggest pitch of the year. Henderson Global, a luxury travel brand looking to reinvent their image. Every department was scrambling for a concept bold enough to win them over. Martin told me, "Think big, Lena. If this lands, it'll change your career." I took that seriously. I spent nights in my apartment surrounded by coffee cups, storyboards, and scribbled notes. I built the campaign from scratch, Journey Beyond the Map. It wasn't just a tagline, it was a philosophy. I tied it to emotion, rediscovery, authenticity, belonging. The kind of campaign that didn't sell destinations, but sold meaning. When I finished, I sent Martin the draft at 2:17 a.m. with an email subject line, Henderson Pitch Draft V1, Concept, Journey Beyond the Map. I even attached time-stamped design files, like I always did, to keep everything organized. He replied the next morning, "Love it. Let's refine this together." I thought together meant I'd be presenting with him. I was wrong. The next week, Martin called for a team prep meeting. Everyone gathered in the conference room, the screen lit up with Journey Beyond the Map. My heart raced. This was my baby. But as Martin spoke, I froze. He was presenting my pitch, word for word, image for image, as if it had been his all along. He even used my personal anecdotes I'd written into the narrative. People nodded, impressed. The creative director praised him. "Brilliant, Martin. Exactly what we needed." I waited for him to glance at me, to at least acknowledge my contribution. He didn't. He just smiled and said, "It came to me during a late-night brainstorm." The room laughed. My stomach turned. After the meeting, I approached him. "That was my work," I said quietly. He didn't flinch. "Our work," he corrected smoothly. "Lena, you're talented, no doubt, but in this business, credit is fluid. Don't get emotional." Fluid. That word echoed in my head for days. The client presentation was set for the following Friday. Martin told me, "You'll assist with visuals. Let me handle the talking. I know how to play the room." I nodded, but inside, something shifted. I wasn't just angry. I was done being silent. I spent the next few nights not just working, but preparing. I reviewed every draft, every email, every time-stamped file. I knew Martin. He was confident, arrogant even. He'd never imagine I'd fight back. Friday came. The meeting was at Henderson Global's headquarters. Sleek glass walls, minimalist furniture, that scent of expensive coffee that screams money. Martin strutted in like he owned the place, shaking hands, cracking jokes. I followed quietly, laptop in hand. The conference room filled with executives. Martin began his presentation, charismatic as ever. "We at Raven Advertising believe in transcending boundaries," he began, clicking through slides I'd designed. The concept, my chest tightened. I looked at the faces around the table, nodding, engaged, admiring him. The same admiration I'd once felt before I saw through the mask. He was halfway through the pitch when the CEO, a sharp woman named Dana Liu, interrupted. "Impressive," she said. "I'd love to see the early drafts, understand how this evolved." Martin hesitated. "Of course," he said, forcing a laugh. "I don't have them on me, but That's okay, I said, cutting in smoothly. I do. The room turned toward me. Martin's smile faltered. Lena, I connected my laptop to the projector. The screen flickered. Then, there it was. The email I'd sent him at 2:17 a.m. The timestamp clear. The attached draft labeled V1. The subject line glowing against the silence. Henderson pitch draft V1. Martin's voice wavered. That's old version material. Actually, I said evenly, clicking to the next slide, it's the origin of everything you just presented. Gasps rippled across the table. I played the recording I'd made of our prep meeting. His voice saying, "Let's make this ours." No need to get into who thought of what. The words echoed like a confession. Dana leaned back, expression unreadable. "Martin," she said quietly, "is there something you'd like to clarify?" He stammered, "We collaborate on everything." "No," I said calmly. "He takes what he wants and calls it collaboration." The silence that followed was suffocating, the kind that kills careers. After the meeting, Dana asked me to stay. Martin tried to linger, but she dismissed him. When the door closed, she said, "You handled that with restraint." I smiled faintly. I handled it with proof. By Monday, word had spread through the agency. Martin was on leave, which everyone knew meant done. HR called me in. They offered me the lead role on the Henderson project. The client specifically requested you, they said. They were impressed. That word, impressed, felt different this time. It wasn't empty. It was earned. Over the next few weeks, I threw myself into the work. Late nights again, but this time the exhaustion felt right. Every billboard, every slogan, every piece of copy carried my fingerprints and no one else's. The campaign launched globally, and within a month, Henderson's engagement tripled. Dana called me one afternoon, saying, "You didn't just save the project, Lena. You saved our reputation." I thanked her, but what I really wanted to say was, I saved myself. Still, sometimes I'd catch whispers in the office corridors. She's the one who exposed Martin. She recorded him? Brave or reckless? I let them talk. I didn't correct anyone. I didn't have to. But the story wasn't over. Not yet. 3 months later, I got an email from Martin. "Can we meet? Just to talk." I ignored it at first. Then he sent another. "Please, I need to explain." Curiosity won. I agreed to coffee, neutral ground. When I walked in, he looked different, smaller somehow. His confidence had evaporated. He started talking immediately. "You ruined me," he said. "I can't get work anywhere. You didn't have to do that." I met his gaze. "You did that to yourself." He shook his head. "You think you won, but this industry forgets fast. You'll see." I smiled faintly. "Maybe, but I'll always have my name attached to my own work. Can you say the same?" He stared at me, speechless. I left without another word. That night, I went home, opened my laptop, and looked at the campaign analytics. Numbers soaring, clients praising, the company thriving. For the first time, my name was on the credits where it belonged. But beyond the success, there was something deeper. The quiet satisfaction of reclaiming my voice. I didn't just expose a thief. I reminded myself that silence helps no one but the guilty. A few weeks later, HR asked me to mentor new hires. I agreed, and during our first session, a young intern nervously said, "I'm scared my boss might take my ideas." I smiled softly. "Then make sure you keep your receipts. Always." The room laughed, but I wasn't joking. As months passed, I realized revenge doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes it's a clean email chain, a timestamp, a calm tone in a meeting full of chaos. Sometimes justice is quiet, surgical, and it leaves no blood, only truth. The night before our campaign won an industry award, I sat alone on my balcony, city lights reflecting off my glass of wine. I thought of the girl who'd once believed that hard work always spoke for itself. She wasn't wrong. It just needed a microphone. The next morning, standing on stage with the award in my hands, flashes going off, I saw Martin in the crowd, not at the agency anymore, but among attendees. He was clapping, though his eyes looked hollow. Maybe he finally understood. When the ceremony ended, I walked past him without a word. Outside, the air was cool, the kind that makes you feel reborn. In that moment, I realized my revenge wasn't exposing him. It was becoming untouchable. He stole my credit once, but I took back something far more powerful, control over my story. And that's the thing about thieves. They always take what shines. But once you stop dimming your own light, there's nothing left for them to steal. You've just stepped into her revenge side, where every wound finds its justice, and every silence ends with truth. If her story struck a chord, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps these stories alive. Another secret waits in the next video. See how her revenge begins.